Today's tutorial is about researching case law using citators. Researching case law online using just keywords can be challenging. A simple keyword search can be incomplete and inefficient because judges don't always use the same terms to discuss similar concepts. In another tutorial, I talk about using classification systems to find cases discussing similar topics. Today, I'll discuss another useful tool, the citator. A citator is a list of documents that are connected to the document you are analyzing through citation. This is especially useful in legal research because the principle of stare decisis demands consistency with prior jurisprudence. Judges cite to prior cases or to statutory authority to support the holding of a new case or to distinguish it from cases that seem to contradict their holding. These citations are called the table of authorities. The analyzed case may then be cited as authority in later cases. These citations are called citing references. The result is a network of cases that the judges themselves have decided are relevant to a particular point of law. As an example, let's look at the network of U.S. Supreme Court cases that have grown around the concept of First Amendment restrictions on symbolic speech. Specifically, we will be looking at Clark v. Community for Creative Nonviolence concerning the regulation of a symbolic tent city erected on the National Mall to protest homelessness. One of the most important cases cited by Clark was U.S. v. O'Brien, concerning the symbolic act of burning a draft card. Clark cited directly to O'Brien as authority, as represented in purple. The cases in red are additional cases cited by Clark. These cases also cite to O'Brien, a strong indication that all of the cases on this chart are relevant authority for a common point of law and should be further examined in the research process. Finally, the green cases represent a citation chain where two cases are needed to connect Clark and O'Brien. These cases may also merit attention depending on other indicators and the scope of your project. Now let's look at the influence Clark had on a later symbolic speech case, Snyder v. Phelps, where the Westboro Baptist Church picketed the funerals of service members. Snyder cited Clark on the issue of symbolic speech, as represented in purple. Snyder cited to three additional cases that also referred back to Clark, represented here in red. And finally, at the green level, you have cases that connect Clark and Snyder with no more than two intervening cases in the citation sequence. Now that we know how valuable these citation networks can be for finding relevant case law, let's examine the tools that are available to help you find them. Citators serve three important purposes in legal research. First, they help you determine whether a case is still good law. That is, they allow you to examine later cases that have cited your case. You can then evaluate the effect of those cases on the validity of your case. Factors will include how the later case treated your case, what authority the later court has over the court that decided your case, and whether the later case was citing your case for the same point of law that you were researching. The second purpose of citators is as a case-finding tool. Judges who have studied an area of law have already determined that these cases are relevant. You can leverage their analysis to avoid the guesswork and imprecision of keyword searching. Finally, case citers are also a great tool for finding secondary sources. We'll talk about researching using secondary sources in a separate tutorial. Many databases use citation analysis to draw connections between relevant authorities. Today, we will be looking at the citators of Lexis and Westlaw. Lexis's citator is called Shepard's, and the process of cite checking is called Shepardizing. Shepard's was the first legal citator dating back to 1873, and until West introduced KeyCite in 1997, it was the only case citator. While looking at a case in Lexis, you will see a shepherd symbol to the left of the case citation that indicates the most negative treatment the case has received. The shepherd's box on the right contains a summary of the shepherd's report. To see the full report, click on Shepherdize this document. You will then see a list of cases that have cited your case. By default, cases are listed from highest court to lowest. You can change the order of the cases using the drop-down menu. Often you will want to see the most negative cases first. Shepherds uses symbols to indicate how later cases have treated your case. A red stop sign indicates that citing references contain strong negative history or treatment of your case, for example, overruled by or reversed. An orange Q indicates that a later case questions the continuing validity of your case. A yellow caution triangle indicates a wide variety of negative treatment by a later case, including a limitation of the holding, criticism of the holding, or declining to follow in a different jurisdiction. A green diamond with a plus sign indicates positive treatment of your case, for example, affirmed or followed by. The blue signals indicate neutral treatment by a case. If the signal is an A, it means that the citing case includes some discussion or analysis of your case. If the signal is an I, your case was probably just cited in a string cite. The shepherd signals are used to indicate how your case is treated by later cases, but it also indicates the current shepherd status of the citing case. The other symbol you will see is the depth of discussion bars. These are a useful tool when deciding which cases to look at further. If you were shepherdizing a prominent case, the listing of citing references will be too long to review in full. The filter bar on the left allows you to filter your results by several criteria. You can narrow the search result by treatment. At the very least, if you are shepherdizing to confirm that your case is still good law, you should look at cases with negative treatment. You can also filter by jurisdiction, limiting your results to federal courts or to Maryland courts, for instance. An easy way to limit the number of cases you need to look at is to filter out unreported decisions, since they are unlikely to have precedential value. You may also want to limit your results to cases with 3 or 4 bars in the depth of discussion field. Perhaps the most useful filter you can apply is by headnote. Cases often address more than one point of law, and the shepherd's treatment code may reflect a part of the opinion that is not relevant to your issue. Never discount a case with a negative treatment signal until you check whether the troublesome point of law is one that you care about. You can also search for terms within the shepherd's results. If you are interested in time, place, and manner restriction on free speech, but only in national parks, you can add that term to narrow down the search results. And finally, you can narrow your list of cases by date. Westlaw's citator is called KeyCite. It operates on the same principles as Shepard's, validating and researching case law through citation analysis. As with Shepard's, KeyCite highlights the most significant citing case as part of the display of the case you are analyzing. KeyCite uses flag symbols to highlight when a case has negative analysis. A red flag to indicate that a case is no longer good law for at least one point of law. A yellow flag if the case has negative treatment that may warrant further scrutiny. And a blue and white flag if the case is on appeal in the federal courts. KeyCite also uses quotation marks to indicate when an opinion cites language verbatim. Westlaw presents its KeyCite service as a series of tabs at the header of a case. You'll note that the first tab is labeled Document. This allows you to quickly return to the case itself when looking at a key site report. The next tab is Filings. If Westlaw has access to pleadings or briefs, they will be listed under this tab. Next is the Negative History tab. If your only reason for site checking is to be sure that your case is still good law, you should be able to find that information here. Several elements on this page should now look familiar to you. The symbols indicating how the case was treated with a short descriptive phrase, the depth of treatment bars, and the headnote numbers indicating the point of law being analyzed. The History tab shows how the case advanced through the courts. The Citing References tab contains the meat of a key site analysis. It includes all sources that cite to your case, both positive and negative. As with Shepard's, you will probably want to use filters to narrow your search results to a manageable number. If you limit your results to cases that have cited your case, the filtering options will look familiar. You can filter by jurisdiction, depth of treatment, headnote topics, limit to negative treatment only, limit to reported cases, and finally, do a keyword search within the key site results. We hope this University of Baltimore Law Library presentation has been helpful. If you would like further assistance, please visit the reference desk on the 7th floor. You can also call, email, or chat via the library's webpage.